Yeah, if you want to copy it and clone it, or if you already have it cloned, pull from Git. I'm going to start out fresh, so I have what you guys have. But basically, I want to give an introduction to Node.js, which is what we're going to be using on backend, and how that hooks up with front end with HTML and CSS and that stuff. So let me delete the folder I already have. Chris, does everyone have Node.js already? Or everyone on backend?
Yeah, we went over it last week, so people should probably have it.
All right, so front end people, I mean, you need Node.js to run the backend. So I mean, you have to get it eventually to do the front end work. But yeah, if you go to nodejs.org, I guess I'll drop that in the chat. Yeah, so it's basically the JavaScript runtime in Chrome, which is called V8. That's the JavaScript engine. It's that, but there's a lot of things you can't do with JavaScript on the front end. Like you can't access files, and it's in the sandboxed environment, so you have to ask permission for everything. And this is just Node.js, but for not in that sandboxed environment. And it could do a lot of other cool stuff, like it could run servers and stuff. So Node.js is what we're going to be using on the back end. I would get 14 because this is a long-term release. The Node releases that are even are long-term releases, so they'll be supported for years to come. But stuff like 15 will not be supported in the years to come. So yeah, I would download that. If you're on front end. So I just kind of wanted to give, I guess I'll try to, oh, someone's calling me. All right.
I've heard you need car insurance.
That's my sister. All right. So, Chris, did you go into stuff like package.json and that stuff?
No, we ended with we basically did like a quick JavaScript crash course using Node.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess just to be like very brief, this kind of stuff are the dependencies, and the rest of the stuff we don't really care about. Like this is just author license. That's the link to the GitHub. It's like there 3 times. That's a repository, bugs for URL on the homepage. This is the package name, version. This is the main file. So index.js. This is the only JavaScript file we have. And yeah, I kind of want to start from scratch. I actually don't have anything to look off of. So I'll just pull in one of my other files. We just swap back and forth. But essentially, I just want to go over like the very basics of how we're going to set things up and how the front end is going to interact with the back end. This is a site that I've already made. The first thing you want to do when you have it, you're going to have npm, and that's the Node package manager. It comes with every installation of Node.js, and it's pretty essential to working in JavaScript and Node.js. And these are the packages that we're going to be using. So to install them, you do npm I or npm install, and it's going to look at package.json and pull in the latest version of the stuff, or the version listed here. And that's obviously not, or maybe it's not so obvious, but it's not, these packages aren't included in they're added. Yeah. So these node modules are these things. and they're not included in the repository because you could just do npmi and install them. And this is a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. It would just be bloat on top of the repository. But this is stuff that we're going to use for rendering and setting up the server. This is for the server. So yeah, we're going to have, I suppose, how do I want to do this?
I can help you out a little bit if you want the names of stuff.
Yeah, this is how we pull in our packages. We require them. And this is the Express package, which we're going to be using to run our HTTP server. Yeah, and then we're going to create our app. And that's going to be an instance of Express. I think I'm doing this right.
Yep.
And the last thing we need to do is listen, which I forgot how that works.
Oh, you also, oh no, you're good. Never mind.
Yeah. So I'm going to listen on port 8080. So yeah, this is the very basics of how you could set up a server. And I mean, there's no routes to look for, so let's add one. We're going to do app.get. This is for a GET request. And so if you request the homepage, then we're going to do, we're going to send, and this is just going to be HTML. That's the HTML header 1 hello world. So now if we run, and you can see right here, these are the scripts. If we run npm start, it's going to run this, which runs node index.js. And you could type node index.js just as well. It'll work the same. Oops. It's not saying the right thing, but this is port 8080. So you go on localhost port 8080, and that is this. So I'm sure I kind of went through a lot for the front-end people, and people might not know what's going on. So if you have any questions, I guess this is a good time to pause and ask for questions if you have any. Everyone's good? All right.
Has anyone seen this before? No? All right. Cool.
Alrighty. So this is the basics of how to set up a server. So this is going to be what Chris's group is dealing with on the back end. Since we're on the front end, we want to figure out how we could turn like this string into a full web page. So to do that, we have templating libraries. So the templating library I'm going to be using is EJS. It's just like HTML. So you pass it essentially HTML files, minus maybe some templating stuff, which we'll get into later on the front end. Yeah. And then you'll have a full website. Okay. So the end goal of this is to render this video, video.html. So to do that, you do res.render, and this renders a template. And by default, templates are in the views folder. And we're just going to type in videos. We also need to set our view engine. And that's going to be EJS. So you do it like this. We declare app, and then we do app.set view engine EJS. And this will automatically require EJS and put it in Express somewhere. So we don't have to worry about it. So then all we do is switch this to .ejs to make it match this. And then we have to restart the server so it gets this new code. And that should render the video. It's a rickroll.
Nice.
Fortunately, it doesn't autoplay if you don't also set it to mute, which is something that I was really distraught about.
Very disappointing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a thing that you can't play audio until a user interacts with the page, which I'm sure ruined like a lot of Tumblr accounts.
MySpace. If anyone remembers that.
Yeah, that's kind of why they did that, because it's annoying.
Yeah, I mean it's super annoying, but okay, so
I have a question.
Yes.
On line 10, after the word port, what is that symbol?
Oh, this is the OR symbol. So this is something that you could define somewhere else. Like maybe if you have a special runtime environment, like this is our test environment, and say during runtime we specify port 80, which is the normal port that you connect with things. So basically, if this doesn't exist, it's gonna be 8080. I think we could actually show this on shoot. Yeah, I'll show this on the command line. So if you do true or false or true, it's going to be true. If you do false or 5, it's going to be 5. And actually, the value of something that is not defined is undefined, and it's going to be the second value.
Is that the symbol on the / key?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I think that the name for that symbol is like pipe. Is pipe.
wait, pipe or pike?
Pipe, P-I-P-E.
I thought pipe was the single one.
Well, it's 2 pipes.
2 pipe. Oh, double pipe in it.
Double pipe.
I mean, it's just OR. Yeah, are there any other questions? I suppose I should have gone over that. Maybe I should go over this too. The idea is that if there's an error, it's going to return because we're in a function. And this is an anonymous function, so a function I just defined on the spot. So it doesn't have a name. You could actually give it a name, like listen function. But it's not going to change it. Like we're not going to use the name anywhere else since it's in the scope of this. I mean, it's the same as app.listen, like this, and then we just pass in a function. So it becomes like that. We're passing the function into that function, which is what we do here as well. Oh, shoot. How do I get out of here? Are there any other questions about what's going on here?
So that's the callback function, correct? For people, or is that?
Yeah. This is a callback function. So after it listens, it's going to call this function. And if there was an error, this error will be something. So if it does, then I will display it. Otherwise, I'll say that the app started.
Yeah, so we're defining it specifically for when it's called. We're not defining it in advance of that, which is we briefly talked about that last week in backend.
Alrighty. So now getting more into the front end stuff. So this is how we set it up to render videos. And now right here, this is our normal HTML. With one exception, it's got a .ejs extension, and it's being processed by the view engine EJS. And what that means is that we can process a lot of, we can process data on the, like somewhere in between the front end and the back end. What happens is, say if I do a thing like title is hi mom, then I could say in the header, instead of videos, I can have it the title, which corresponds to this name. Start it up again. The title is now Hi Mom. And what's going on there is that at this point right here, when we call render, it'll run this template and it'll process it through EJS. So any data given right here is going to be sent as a variable to EJS. And we start EJS with this tag, end it with this tag. An equal sign means we're going to print out a data, and that means we're going to parse it as literally, like literally how it is. Yeah, and this is actually JavaScript right here.
And otherwise, if there's no symbol, it has some sort of functionality, right?
Yeah. So you could do a for loop. So you could do like for I equals 0, I is less than, say we gave it like an array, videos. Let's just split this up. The videos are going to be, they're actually just going to be strings. Okay, so just random, maybe more random so we can see them better. So we're passing videos into res.render. So say we do eyes less than videos.length I++. So we have a starting brace right here. Let's just add it back in our ending brace. So we could have some kind of HTML right here. Let's say that for now. It's actually going to run this for loop and render this for each video that we have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, corresponding to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements we have in here. Now, how do we get the value? Through another EJS thing. EJS equals videos I. And this would be the ith element of videos, which is this array. Yep. So you could just imagine that we have, say, YouTube videos, and we have the links, and we could just insert this data, just like we have this tag right here. And instead of source equals this, we could have the videos correspond to those links, and then we could embed them like that. So that's how we'd have like videos working on this. And that's just kind of a example of how to use EJS. I know it's complicated since this is JavaScript and this is JavaScript, but they run at different times in different places. So the front end team will be focusing on writing these templates, and the back end team will be focusing on passing this data into res.render for the front end team to use, making the template. Are there any?
Can you
Yeah.
repeat that last part about the separations?
Yeah. So the front end team is going to be focusing on writing these templates. So taking the data that we have given to us right here in res.render and using it and displaying it in a meaningful way. And then the backend team is going to be focusing on getting this data and providing it to the front end team in a some kind of format. So like in this example, the backend team would be writing functions to actually grab the videos from YouTube, and the front end team would be displaying them in a kind of nice way. That's kind of how front end and backend are split up.
And another thing backend would do with those videos is parse out the meaningful parts that front end would use, because we can get a lot of information, but we don't want all of it.
Right. So that's another part of it, like figuring out what data that you need and what data you don't.
So with each video, are we gonna manually be adding them as backend or make it automated.
Automated.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, we could just we could do different tags or something.
Also, another cool thing I saw was like this YouTube speech to text kind of thing. So we can also like implement that and have like a side loading transcript.
Like for this.
Yeah, like on the side. It's like another thing. It's not essential. I'll share the video.
Cool. Yeah, are there any questions about this? This is pretty much all I wanted to show. I think I could have done a bit job of introducing stuff. So if you have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask.
Can you explain the difference between like get, set, and listen?
In where?
Just in general, what it does.
In
Oh, this part.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So for app, there's actually, yeah, some good documentation. But yeah, set is basically for settings, and so this string is a value for what we're setting, and this is the key, and this is the value for like what we're setting. So this more or less sets values. This is for a GET request. So when you go to a website, this is kind of a backend thing, but when you go to a website, you send a GET request to that website. This is a GET request. If we had it as a post, so this would be handling post requests. It wouldn't be handling GET requests. That would actually break the site because there's no GET request handler for the homepage. And there's a lot of different ones. There's GET post. I actually forget the others, but those are the two main ones that we're going to be using.
update delete, or no, that's CRUD.
No, there is update. There might be delete.
There's also delete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ones. Like I don't want to say something and have it be wrong because I could probably say anything.
There are
And-
four main ones, but well, two main ones, but then also. So if you guys, just a little tidbit, if you guys ever hear CRUD, the acronym CRUD, that's for create, read, update, delete. And those correspond to four big HTTP protocol methods. I guess HTTP protocol is redundant, but which are get, post, update, delete. Or I guess it would be post, get, update, delete. That's my whole thing.
All right. Yeah. And then, so yeah, then app.listen listens for connections at a port. This actually starts up the server, which is why I logged that. That's the port, and this is the callback function. I could actually do that and have no callback function, and it would work the same.
So what does it listen for?
It listens for all of these requests that we defined.
From like as the person jumps onto the site, it's like, okay, the person's here. We should get X, Y, and Z and show them X, Y, for example.
Yeah, that's what starts that process. And Express is kind of strange because you might think that these lines are actually doing stuff, but these lines are actually just setting up event listeners. They don't actually do anything. These don't get run. These functions that we're writing, they don't get run until a user actually visits this thing. And it goes top to bottom. So if I had a different thing right here, and I just said res.send hi, this one's going to run first, and it's not going to get to this one. So to show that, it runs this. And it doesn't, we don't see the videos. We don't see Rick Astley.
Interesting.
What happens if you make the first argument different?
What argument?
In the get, just for demonstration, in the get, if you like don't do a slash.
Oh yeah. So you could change this to like, and that will handle the slash videos route, and this will handle the regular homepage route. So you can have show again. This is Rick Astley again, and this is videos. This is kind of how you build a site. You have the different things you want to handle, and then different routes you want to handle and how you're going to handle them. I believe you could actually do like this, and it will handle everything. Yeah. And if you
And you
don't
can
do that,
also-
I think it's going to say like unexpected request or something.
You can also add arguments.
Yeah.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, you can. That's more like for subroutes though. That's like for if you want to.
Yep.
If you want to say we're doing like YouTube and you're visiting a video with a specific ID, kind of like this, then you can get that from like rec.body.id. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, I have this in a project somewhere, but
Yeah, I have this here somewhere.
Yeah, it's rec.params.id.
Ooh, params. Oh, I don't have that on this page. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how we're going to build this site. That's the back end and how it connects to the front end. I guess any final thoughts, questions? Everyone good?
Back end, we next week can go over the how we're going to talk to YouTube. If that's
Yeah,
okay.
and then next week I think we're going to build actually this, because this wasn't built yet, hasn't been built yet. We'll talk about how we're going to separate that, because we want to have something on the front end where this header gets used across like almost all of our pages, and we'll have a footer, and that's going to be used across all pages, and we want them all to look identical, and we don't want to go back and update all of them if we decide to make a change. So yeah.
Shouldn't we be first like making the login and
No,
that
that's
stuff?
more complicated than YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, believe it or not, that's pretty complicated.
Yeah. So we're shifting gears a little bit.
So yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing. That's pretty much it.
We can ease into logging in. We don't have to start with it, but that won't be. Also, it's not hugely essential for our purposes.
It's gonna be hugely essential to like the admin routes. Like that's where I think everything gets sick. Like backend's kind of boring up until you have like cool things.
Well, yeah, but we like let's just get started with APIs before sessions and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yo, Tyler, what's good? Dude, I didn't see you.
Oh, Tyler, dude, Dr. D would like roast on your profile picture all the time last semester. I remember that.